merry month of May, and things are about to get started in a rapid fashion here because one, we begin the magazine countdown because we are probably 3 weeks away from the first preseason magazine, either Lenny's or Athlon or both. And the thing that most SEC fans are looking at will be the meetings in Destin that are coming up. That's not going to be your normal meeting. There are going to be a lot of decisions made in that meeting that are going to be really important too. And as a matter of fact, we got a credential request yesterday for SEC Media Day. So, Shane, it lets you know we're past spring practice, and now we're heading to the next phase that's going on for college football.
Yeah, for sure. Before we jump into your notes and discuss what's going on in the landscape around the country, Andy's got a question here, and this blows me away. I was not aware of this. He says, this is brought to you on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. He says, Brent, ESPN has the semis ranked number 3 in their post-spring poll behind Georgia and Michigan. Isn't that too high? That is ridiculous, in my opinion, Andy. Now, I know a lot of people look at what they did last year, but I'm still going to stand on my soapbox. I didn't think they were a very good football team. Maybe top 10, but in the top 3?
Well, it was just going to be a matter of where they were ranked, frankly. I mean, they've got 8 coming back on offense, 8 on defense. Now, obviously, when your quarterback's coming back, that helps. They've also got Jaheim Bell from South Carolina is going to help them at tight end. They've got a receiver named Kentron Portier who had a really good spring. I think they're happy with him. Patrick Payton is an edge rusher they like, along with Jared Verse. Now, again, they're one of their big games comes up early, obviously, in Orlando on Sunday night of Labor Day weekend with LSU. But this really doesn't surprise me in a lot of ways. They've been gaining momentum. They're probably going to be ranked over Clemson, even though I still think Clemson has a better roster at this point. Now, Clemson's number 9 in the ESPN rankings. But, I mean, I get your point, I really do. At some point, are these predictions going to be so high that the predictions are better than the team actually is? We will see, but they are very much riding the momentum of these guys coming back. Remember, Wilson, the big 6'7" wide receiver, he's coming back this year too.
Yeah. I mean, you can't – I mean, they won 9 games. I get it. But I think we talked about it. I've talked about it with JC. I think they beat one team the entire year with a winning record. And I just – my eyes tell me they weren't that good. Jordan Travis had a phenomenal year. Joseph says it's all about the hype, the ratings for that LSU game to start the season. Yeah, ESPN's probably got it. So they're probably – anyway, regardless of that. Brent, in 2024 is when the playoffs start, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Give us a rundown. I was looking at this. I haven't really followed it, but I want your thoughts after you go through it, if you like it or not.
Well, this is the schedule for next year of the playoffs. Now, again, this is something people will adjust to, I think, quickly, because this is the new norm. And it starts with first round games on campus. It starts Friday, December the 20th is one game at night. And then you've got the other situation where you've got 2 games in the first, I'm sorry, you've got 2 days in the first round. A Friday game, Saturday. There are 3 games on Saturday, an early afternoon game, late afternoon game, and evening. Then you've got the quarterfinals on the New Year's Eve. What I do like about this, among many things, would be Wednesday, January the 1st. We're back to playing more football that matters on January the 1st. We've got the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the All-State Sugar Bowl. The important thing here is that you've actually got the Rose Bowl. Now get this, the Rose Bowl is hosting a quarterfinal game. So they had to get over themselves to some point in order to do this and join the crew, which I'm glad. The semifinals are January the 9th and the 10th, and the championship game is about 10 days later than it's going to be for this coming season on January the 20th. So there's several things in here that I like. One is that we're doing it in the first place. Two is that we've actually got home games in the first round, home games, on campus games, and that's going to be pretty exciting to be able to see where that's going to go. And they're still tinkering with this a little bit, but they came out with a schedule just a few days ago, and at this point, that's what we've got. So, Shane, it's going to take some getting used to this, but this is going to be going on, and I still say it's going to revolutionize the game of college football.
Yeah, I actually like it looking at it here. Now, how many people did they decide were going to be in the playoffs?
12.
Okay, because I'm looking here, and maybe my math's bad. On Friday, December the 20th in 2024, they have one game on Friday night.
Right.
And Saturday, they have 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
By my calculation, that's only that's what? How many teams is that playing there, Brent?
Well,
There's 3.
And the reason that looks funny is your top 4 teams are going to get buys.
Oh, okay. I was like, I went through this like 4 times. I go, I was a business major, and I'm pretty good at numbers, but there's only 8 teams playing. Okay, so that's 4 teams get a bye. Gotcha.
Yeah. First, the top 4 teams get a bye.
Okay.
So that means that basically means 5 through 12 are going to be in the first round with the playoffs here. So now another thing they've done here with the games on Friday the 20th and 21st, what's going to be interesting is, will their recruiting calendar shift around for that? I'm wondering if they're going to go to another date, or they're going to go a week earlier, whatever that's going to be. But again, the important thing about this is the level of excitement that this is going to bring us in November, when we've got so many more teams that could get in the playoffs than what we've got now.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited just reading about it. So I assume, and I'm hoping, they still keep the conference championship games, which usually are played like their first weekend in December. So you're almost going to have 2 weeks off after the championship game till that first playoff game. And think about it. If you got a bye, you almost have 3 weeks off until you play your first playoff game. So should be interesting.
Yes. Let me throw this in here real quick. Now, what they're tinkering with is starting the season at week 0. No, not week 1, but week 0. Now, if they do that, what that's going to mean is, and this is strange, but this is what's going to happen, is the rivalry games are going to be played a week earlier, and your conference championship games are going to be played on Thanksgiving weekend. So that's something to think about, because the schedule with the additional games is going to have to be adjusted. And I know that sounds strange. I mean, imagine Florida and Florida State not being played on Thanksgiving weekend, it being played the week before, but they need some wiggle room in their schedule, Shane, and that's one of the real options that they're looking at.
Yeah, and I don't know why they won't just call week 1 week 1.
Yeah, you're right.
Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Brent, the portal, obviously the portal's closed. The Gators pick up a player yesterday, and obviously we'll talk about that shortly. Any new news about the transfer portal?
Well, I think the patterns are slowly starting to emerge, and the thing we mean by that is when the portal opens in mid December and closes in mid January, that's when your movement's going to be. So if you're looking for a quarterback, that's probably when you're going to get the quarterback. Now, there are quarterbacks who are still available, and we'll talk about some of them in a few minutes, but it is nothing compared to what it was back in back in December. So that's one thing that we see about that. Now, the portal is always open for grad students, so keep that in mind, and will not be open again until December the 4th. Now, if somebody transfers, they've obviously got to have a waiver at this point too. But so that is why, if you're wondering, well, my school didn't get a whole lot of folks in the transfer portal, the reason why would be that, let's be honest, there weren't as many quality players available in the second go round as there was the first. Does that make sense, Shane?
Yeah, absolutely, it does. Brent, the draft, just get your overall thoughts on the draft. We know the SEC dominated it, but did anything surprise you?
Not really. I mean, the SEC had 62 players. The nearest was the Big Ten at 55. Shane, did you see where the ACC had 33?
I did not.
Yes. Think about that a minute. And the state of Florida produced 35 draftees. State of Texas had 30. Man alive! And did you see the state of Georgia had 27? Now think about this in terms of the size of these states. Florida is 1, Texas is 2, Georgia is 3, California is 4. Now obviously this is from the high school ranks. So, man, that tells you why so many people want to recruit for the state of Georgia. But again, yes, the SEC dominated. Again, no real surprises. Alabama got the number 1 player, number 3 player with Bryce Young and Will Anderson. So it was a crazy draft in a lot of ways, but Bama, Georgia had 10 players. Michigan had 9. How about TCU, Shane, had 8. That's impressive. Florida in a group with LSU and others, they had 6. So, again, the draft has come and gone, and some interesting results from it.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Brent Beaird on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. All right, Brent, let's go around the SEC. What's going on up in Tuscaloosa?
Well, spring is over, so the latest would be Alabama's brought in Tyler Buckner from Notre Dame. He is in the quarterback room. And interestingly enough, a lot of people thought one of these quarterbacks would leave. They did not. Now, what you basically have got here is you've got 2 freshmen, and Eli Holstein and Dylan Longerin, who probably would just redshirt. They'll play their minimum 4 games if they get in then, and just get ready for the following season. The real battle is going to be between Ty Simpson, Jalen Milroe, and Tyler Buckner. So we'll see how that goes. But that's what a lot of people have focused in on would be the number of quarterbacks that they've got. They had a pretty good spring. They've gone back to being a more physical, tougher football team. Kevin Steele is the new defense coordinator. Their defense played much better in the spring game. They didn't miss assignments, didn't jump off sides, and the silly things they did the last 2 or 3 years. And they've got a couple of freshmen. Tailback Justice Haynes, his dad played for Georgia, by the way, and Caleb Downs at safety, who are tremendous freshmen. So they'll be somebody to look forward to when you're watching Alabama.
The Hogs. Oh, I wanted to bring up one thing. Eli Ricks, who was a highly 5-star kid. Most
Yes.
people had him before the season being a top 10 pick, went undrafted. Obviously, he went to the Eagles. I think he probably makes that team, but boy, people had to be surprised he wasn't drafted.
They thought he would be a slam dunk first day draftee, but he was not. Didn't play that much for LSU. Came to Alabama, never really got with the program until the end of the season. He played well against Mississippi State, but really didn't play much at all. Besides that, that's unfortunate, but that's on Ricks. He wasn't ready to play. Didn't cooperate as you should have. Kind of got things together toward the end. Unfortunately, it was too late. But the tape does not lie. You may have a great reputation, but you still got to get it done.
Auburn has a quarterback who is leaving the program, and they're probably going to sign somebody, wouldn't you think?
DJ Finley, the LSU transfer, is left. It'd be interesting to see where he goes. Now, they've got some possibilities to sign. Casey Thompson is a name that people may be familiar with. He came from Nebraska is one possibility. Peyton Thorne is a kid from Michigan State who is also in the portal. He has 2 years of eligibility left. So those guys are out there. I know Florida's been linked with Peyton Thorne a little bit too. I still think they may be able to get someone. Also, now we mentioned Finley a minute ago. Finley's going to be a grad transfer, so that will help him. And to remember, grad transfers are eligible immediately, and they should be, frankly. But I mean, Auburn had a pretty good spring. They beefed up their offensive line. But they did get some other transfers in. Jalen McLeod is a kid they got in from Appalachian State. That he'll give them some depth at the linebacker position too. So, and Auburn also got a wide receiver from Colorado. First name is Montana. How about that, Shane? Montana Leminis Craig, hyphenated name. So we'll see how he does. And that Colorado team is pretty well. They had a fire sale, is what it amounts to. So they're having to rebuild that roster completely.
Yeah, I think they only have 13 of the 85
Right.
scholarships. And I hope Deion succeeds. I just don't see it happening. I don't think they win 3 or 4 games at all this year. And they're trying to rebuild. They were a bad football team. But he contradicts himself so much, it drives me insane, Brent. When he talks, he's complaining to the National Football League for only drafting 2 HBCU players, okay? Well, the NFL is the league with the greatest players in the world. They're going to take the best players, okay? Well, Deion is getting rid of players that have no chance of playing in the NFL and trying to get better players. So he's basically doing what the NFL is doing, but he contradicts himself. So I may not have made any sense there, but it drives me insane.
I understand.
The Gators picked up a recruit or a portal transfer guy who has some Florida ties. Yeah,
R.J. Moten, 6 foot 223, is a guy that they picked up. So, I mean, at Michigan, he was an academic All Big Ten honoree, which tells you something. But look, I think he'll be okay in the backfield. As far as the defensive backfield, probably at safety is what they're looking at. I still like Austin Armstrong will be able to do something with him, which would be good. I mean, there's still a little bit of Florida quarterback talk back and forth with this too. But at this point, I think the biggest news this week would be Moten coming in. I believe I said 6'3", 223. Probably will play around 215, something like that. He should do well with Corey Raymond.
Yeah, he should. And as you said, there's always talk about quarterback. I do not see the Gators bringing in a quarterback. I think Graham Mertz will be your starter,
Yep.
and they'll go from there. The Dogs. Yeah, I'm anxious to see how Carson Beck is penciled in as a starter. I think people underestimate, and I talked about, I don't know if it was you, Brent, or somebody else. I think people just underestimate how good Stetson Bennett was, the things that he
Yes.
could do. Plus, you got Mike Bobo coming back to Georgia to call plays. What's it like up there in Georgia after the spring?
Well, I mean, they're still going to be the top team in America coming out in the preseason polls and the preseason magazines. Carson Beck has not been anointed the starter, but that's who the starter is going to be, frankly. It would be interesting to see if all the quarterbacks remain in the fold also. But look, they've got tremendous talent, frankly. That's coming back. I talked to a Georgia beat writer and asked him about the quarterback. He just said, look, it doesn't matter who it is. They've got so much talent around him on the offensive line, skill positions, that it's all fine. And I would agree with that. They did lose Bear Alexander on the defensive line, but they will be fine too at defensive tackle. They're one of the few teams in the nation. Again, they had 9 players that had been taken in the first round of the last 3 drafts. That's amazing. And by the way, every starter from the 2021 Georgia defense has now been drafted. Boy, that's a mouthful there. But look, they'll be number 1 in the nation. They'll have an easy path to Atlanta. They'll win the East. I mean, it's just kind of the same thing over again. The big question is going to be is can they win 3 national championships in a row? I don't know if they will, but they've certainly got the players and the talent to do it.
Yeah. Alan on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law says, good morning, guys. I have always believed that the game is decided between the lines. Will we have an O-line to protect the QB and move the football? On the other side, where do you see the defensive line in stopping the run, the pass, and getting turnovers? I think they were pretty good. They were very good, actually, last year on the offensive line. I know they lost a couple of players. I think they'll be fine there. I think the quarterback can help getting the ball out on time, making good decisions. Defensively, we all know that was a huge problem. I've been talking about the front 7 the last 3 or 4 years not being SEC caliber. Don't know if it is right now, but I do think it'll be better this year. So, as I said, I have the Gators winning 8 games minimum this year, and I'm sticking to it. LSU, the Tigers, going to be the preseason pick, I'm sure. What's going on in Baton Rouge?
They had a great spring. Their spring game, the quarterbacks and the passing game was outstanding. And they've got 2 good ones, and Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. Listen, Garrett Nussmeier could start for a lot of teams, and he's the backup. Harold Perkins comes back. They say he's going to be better this year than he was last year. That's a mouthful. So they're going to be very good. Jimmy Lindsey has joined their staff as defensive line coach. He comes over from South Carolina. So that's the biggest change over the last few days. Noah Kane, who transferred from Penn State, had a really good spring. Also, Kyron Lacey, a transfer from Louisiana, was the star of the spring game. Malik Neighbors comes back. Mason Smith, a junior defensive tackle, is going to be very good. He got hurt early on against Florida State. Needless to say, this is a team that has incredible talent, and I will not be surprised at all if they're picked over Alabama, primarily because of the quarterback when all the preseason rankings come out.
Yeah. Let's go down to South Carolina. We don't talk much about them. Obviously, they had a pretty decent year last year. Again, a team that I did not think was very good. Spencer Rattler's coming back. I know. This is silly. Can they contend at all? I mean, we know that Georgia's going to win the East, but can South Carolina be better than they were last year, Brent? I mean, I
Yeah,
still don't know how they won. I think it was 8 games. I still can't figure
right.
it out.
Well, I tell you how they've done it the last 2 years of that. They've won big games in November, and that's the thing that people remember with them. So again, they need more playmakers besides Juice Wells. They've also got a Trey Knox who's an Arkansas transfer. They just brought in Trevelyan Robinson as defensive line coach coming over from Tulane. They had a real unfortunate injury in the spring game. Jalen Nichols, who is their projected starting left tackle, had an injury, and he's going to miss a good bit of the season. Not sure how much that's going to be, but boy, anytime you lose a starting offensive lineman in the spring game, that is a real blow. But at the same time, I think they'll be pretty good. I mean, they're certainly that they could they. I think they'll be either second or third in the division. But with the progress that they have made, defense needs to be better. Rattler needs to be better too. So it's going to be a fascinating season again at South Carolina.
Yeah, and then Tennessee, obviously, we know what Hendon Hooker meant to them, and they have kind of a quarterback battle. I assume Joe Milton will get the start over the $8 million Lamaluga kid.
Yes.
But I saw a quote where Heupel says they're going to play elite defense at Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath on that one. That's going to be the biggest thing about this team, frankly. Tim Banks is a D coordinator, and they're hoping to be more aggressive too. They've got to replace Byron Young. They do return Aaron Beasley at linebacker and Tyler Barron, who's a good defensive end. But their problem last year, they were great on first and second down on defense. Third down, they allowed 52% conversion of their opponents. You can't do that in the SEC. And that cost them toward the end of the year. I'm with you. Joe Milton be the quarterback, and that they'll bring Nico Lomaliva on, the 5-star guy. But look, offensively, they're going to be very good. There's no doubt about that. But we are still waiting on the NCAA decision during the Jeremy Pruitt years to see if that might affect Tennessee in terms of scholarships or postseason. Don't think he'll be penalized during the postseason, but that's something that we can't forget about.
Yep. Brent, give us some nuggets before you get out of here.
Texas A&M also had a good spring. And they've got two good quarterbacks, Max Johnson and Connor Weigman. Bobby Petrino. That experiment so far is going along pretty well. I think they're pleased with that. The only had 3 players in the draft, so that means a lot of these young guys are coming back. This is still a pretty young team all the way around. Vanderbilt had a pretty good spring. Also, they had Cedric Alexander, who's a true freshman, and Chase Gillespie redshirted, that did well in the spring game. A.J. Swan is their quarterback. So that's something to keep your eye on. Continued improvement from Vanderbilt. Also, Ole Miss is Spencer Sanders. This needs to be mentioned. Is rehabbing from a shoulder injury that he had last year at Oklahoma State. Jackson Dart may end up being the starter for them anyway. The Howard kid who came over from LSU is still pretty young, Walker Howard. So I think they'll take their time with him. But that'll be fascinating. As Shane said the other day, and I agree with him totally, Ole Miss's defense is absolutely horribly bad, frankly. So they've got to do something to help that. Mississippi State, Zach Arnett is head coach, obviously now, with Mike Leach's unfortunate death. Kevin Barbay as the new offensive coordinator. So I think that's going to be interesting to see what they do with Will Rogers, and Tula Griffin also is a guy to look for. So got a whole lot more, but I know we don't have much time, but hopefully that will keep folks up to date a little bit, Shane. And again, we look forward to this coming playoff, as we got a glimpse this week of what the dates are going to be and how they're going to do it.
Yeah. Well, Brent, great stuff as always, buddy. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Look forward to it, Shane. Thanks so much.
That's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. Take a quick time out, come back, do a little Baker's Sporting Goods High School roundup, talk a little baseball, softball, a little JUCO baseball with marvelous Marty Pullman. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, International Diamond Center, Dave & Buster's, Palmetto Moon, Escape Apology, Visor's Rooftop in the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, the #1 celebrity polished casual restaurant in all of America. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR Hotline. And we're going to be joined by marvelous Marty Pullman from the Prep Zone and voice of Santa Fe College baseball, softball. A man who does a lot of stuff. Good morning, Marty. Marty, how are you, man?
Good morning, Shane. Good to be with you.
Yeah, before we jump into JUCO stuff, let's talk a little high school sports. I want to say baseball, high school baseball is in their district tournaments right now. Let's talk about some teams that you have seen, some teams that have a chance to win their district and maybe make some noise in the playoffs.
Well, we can start right here in the city of Gainesville with Buchholz. Buchholz is a team that has been playing well all year. Really good pitching staff. They've shut out a couple of teams like Fleming Island already that they played. They beat North Marion a couple of times. North Marion's another good team, but Buchholz has really played well. They're playing for the district title tonight over in Jacksonville against Fleming Island there again. So they're a team to watch. They have a Clemson commit, Anthony Wilkie, who is a junior, who's one of their leading pitchers, along with Austin Cardozo. And the team, yeah, I think would really make a run there as well. Buchholz is an Oak Hall in 2A. I know we don't talk a lot about that, but Oak Hall this year, that's a team that's hitting about 500 as a team. They beat St. Francis yesterday 11-1 to win their district title in 2A. So that's another team to take a look at in the city of Gainesville. And then you go up to Santa Fe. Santa Fe's playing for the district title tonight as well against a team from St. Augustine. So the Santa Fe has been in the postseason the last few years. They're pretty consistent as well. And then after that, you got to go out to the 1A schools. You got Trenton and Newberry playing tonight for a district title in 1A. 7 Union County's playing tonight as well. All three of those teams have a shot in 1A, I think, to really make a run in baseball.
Yeah, you mentioned Buchholz. Buchholz has been known to be really good in baseball, have a lot of good players go on to the next level. But it seems like once they get into the state playoffs, something always happens. Do you think this is a team that can really make a deep run with their pitching staff?
I do. I think they can, and I think it's been pretty consistent this year. And I don't know what it's been about that. You're right. They get to the playoffs, and it seems like it just can't. Sometimes they get sent on the road to the Panhandle. That happened before, and it just doesn't work out playing out there. But, yeah, I think this is a team that can come out and pitch pretty well every game, and they can make themselves a run. 6A is a pretty tough classification because you got Mosley over from Panama City in that region as well. But, I think this may be a year that they can win a few playoff games. And don't let me forget PK Young. They're playing for a district title tonight as well in Ocala against Trinity Catholic. So they are right on the bubble of the postseason. They'll be announcing those, of course, the pairings this weekend. And I think you're going to see a lot of teams from this area make it. PK Young is right now probably squarely on the bubble as they'll play for a district title tonight.
All right, let's switch gears to high school softball. Where do they stand right now? I've been out of the loop, Marty. Give me an update on what's happening. First of all, Andy has a question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law, and it's regarding softball. He says, is Williston the clear favorite to win the state in 1A in softball, and does Hawthorne have a chance tonight?
Well, Hawthorne, there's always a chance. I mean, about that. But, yeah, I would say go with I don't know if they'll win that game tonight. But Williston, yeah, I mean, they do have a chance to go and win the state, but they're going to have a couple teams in this area in Dixie County who last year advanced to the Final Four, who's still got a really good team. That's one team to watch. You still have Trenton, who's not bad as well. And then not Union County. My mind is not there, but yeah, right now I would say Williston is one of the favorites in 1A, but they're going to get challenged by some teams in this area, and that's the first one that really comes to mind is Dixie County because they did make a run last year to the postseason and to the Final Four.
We got a text on the Titan Mark text line from Sharon. Sharon says GHS has always been pretty good in softball. How did they do this year?
Not so good this year, actually. They ended up 9-13. I think they played and lost in the first round of their district tournament to Middleburg. They just didn't have the pitcher this year. They lost a dominant pitcher from the last few years they've had a pitcher. It seems like from where we go from Katie Chronister, went to UF and led them to a state title. Then they went to Alyssa Humphrey, who now is pitching at James Madison. But yeah, just didn't have the pitching this year. And they got better as the season went on. They ended up starting a freshman or an eighth grader who was a Trenton transfer later in the year, but she was only eligible for the second half of the season. So yeah, they just had some struggles first half and couldn't quite get it over. But it is rare that they're not in the postseason. I think they had won a district title 4 of the last 5 years, and even more than that. And they've won state and been to Final Fours before. So yeah, a little bit of an off year for GHS this year in softball.
Speaking of that, you talked about the girls that went to James Madison and Florida. Any girls this season that you have seen covering high school softball have a chance to play at the next level at a major type university?
That's a good question. I think that there are some players, and I'm not sure because the only thing that when you see this, a lot of the players in 1A are the players that you see. I mean, this year, I would say nobody in the Gainesville proper area is going to probably be playing big school softball in the next level. But I think that, if you look around, you're going to have to look out in the 1A level. And you got some pitchers in Williston and Dixie County. But I don't know if the problem is I don't know if they end up at big schools. I mean, I think they'll end up probably at Santa Fe College, which is where a lot of players end up. But as of now, there have been some players in Union County that signed, I think, with West Georgia. So, there's some smaller schools. I wouldn't say there's one really off the top of my head that's probably a high D1 commit at this point or assigned.
Got a text on the Titan Mar text line from Robert. He says, Marty, who is the best high school baseball player you've seen this year?
Man, you guys are stumping me today. That actually, I'm thinking of a player at Columbia, but I would say that maybe Oak Hall, because when I saw them play, they put up 16 runs. They got a player named Jack Kosmicki who is hitting over 600, and he hit. Yeah, I know, and that's actual numbers. And he was hitting over 500 last year, and they actually have two guys who are hitting over 500 as well. But there is a player down in North Marion named Cooper Jones who actually is among the nation's leaders. I know it's maybe a little bit outside the area, but he's one of the nation's leaders in home runs. Actually, he hit 3 in one game against Gainesville. I think he has 13 now in the season, and he leads the area as well. So, and North Marion's got a really good team. They're going to win a district title as well, probably tonight. They play against the Villages, but yeah, I mean those are some of the guys that I would say that I've been impressed with this season that I've seen. Those two, and Oak Hall was an impressive team to watch. Anyway, they put up, when I saw them play Trenton, they put up like 17 hits and 16 runs. They can really hit.
Ruse-Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Speaking with marvelous Marty Pullman, talking a little high school sports right now. Let's switch gears. Spring football has started. A lot of coaching changes in this area here. You got Chuck Bell taking over at Buchholz, Ian Scott, the former Gator, going back to his alma mater at GHS. Brian Allen is going back to Columbia. Demetric Jackson is going back to Fort White. Obviously, you got Pruitt over at Williston. PK Young, I think, is still looking for a football coach. Fill us in, Marty. What's going on?
You kind of summed up a lot of it right there. I mean, I think the question coming into spring football, which just got started this week, is maybe Buchholz. How are they going to respond to losing Mark Whittemore, who's been there, 13 years and led them to state semifinal appearances back to back. And, I think with Chuck Bell moving up, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. I mean, the biggest problem Buchholz is going to have this year is replacing Creed Whittemore. That's going to be their biggest issue because, he did everything for them at that level. GHS, I mean, they can only go up, I think, at this point. We know they went winless last year. It was just a rough year there. Ian Scott's an interesting hire because he's a local guy. He's a GHS guy, and he really knows the area, and he's coached in the NFL and at college. So he's got a lot of experience coming back to his alma mater. And as you said, PK Young kind of going through some changes there as well. Their coach moved on to Coy Creek and St. Augustine. But, yeah, I think the coaching changes are the biggest story right now. And you mentioned Brian Allen and Demetric Jackson flip-flopping. I mean, I don't know what's going on up there, but Brian Allen steps down for 2 years. Demetric Jackson comes in to Columbia. And then Brian comes back, and Demetric goes back to Fort White. So I don't know. It's like they are just switching off the two Columbia County schools. And I don't know if Columbia will be affected by that. They seem to be rolling anyway. So, yeah, there are a lot of new coaches, a lot of coaching changes this year. You're right. We haven't really seen a lot of these recently in high school football. And you mentioned Robbie Pruitt. I mean, he was at Williston last year. They went undefeated. I think they're going to continue to build. They're a team that seems to be able to get players now.
Yeah, for sure. And, of course, Andrew Thomas at Union County. They always do a great job out there. Hawthorne coming off their state title. I know his boy – I know they lost some kids to college, but I think his kid who plays quarterback's back, right?
Yeah, he's got another couple years. That's right.
Oh, he's got it. Okay.
Yeah, he's back, and he helped lead their basketball team to the Final Four. he's a really good basketball player. I think you're going to see that's what he's going to be playing at the next level. He averages about 20-some points a game this year for them. But he still is he's a really pretty good quarterback on the field. He does a lot. He does what they ask him to do, really. I mean, he doesn't always throw it around a lot, but he runs it. He's a pretty good runner. That's what you kind of need to be if you're the quarterback at Hawthorne. They did lose a lot of talent at Hawthorne. I mean, but they seem to find it. I mean, this has been going on for, where they've been making these runs for about 6 years now, and they've been to 3 straight state championship games. I don't know. It's going to be tough to get back, but they can do it. I mean, I wouldn't put it past CI because it seems like he's always got his teams, whether it be football or girls basketball, which won a state title this year as well at Hawthorne. He's always got them contending.
Yeah, he really does. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little JUCO softball and baseball here with Santa Fe College. The Saints have had a tremendous year in baseball under former Gator Johnny Wiggs. I know you call a lot of their games. They're starting their postseason play. Does this team have a chance to make it to the JUCO World Series?
Well, they do, because right now, they started the season 31-0. Basically, there was a game they had to forfeit, and no, they didn't. Pardon me, they lost the game, and that team forfeited, so they were undefeated. And then they ran into the College of Central Florida, who is the #1 ranked team right now in the nation from Ocala in JCAA national poll. Santa Fe was up to #3 at one point. Central Florida beat them 4 straight in the series earlier or in April, so that kind of that clinched the conference title for Central Florida. But Santa Fe gets in as the #2 team. They'll go on the road this weekend down to Bradenton to play State College of Florida. So just like D1 baseball, best of 3, like a super regional. They play Friday, Saturday, and if necessary on Sunday, and then the winner goes to the Final 4 team tournament next week in Lakeland at Joker Marchant Stadium there. So, yeah, I think Santa Fe's got a shot. Again, really good pitching. They hit the ball well, not exactly a home run slugging team, but they can hit it well. And, they're pretty solid. The only thing is they might run into Central Florida again, but, yeah, they have a shot to win that. They're ranked 9th right now in the national poll, and you would think a team in the top 10 like that would have a chance to advance to the World Series.
Yeah, like you said, it's a shame that the team right down the road is just as good or a little bit better. So we'll see. But Johnny Wiggs and his crew had a tremendous year. Savannah Webster, their softball coach, where do they stand right now in softball?
Well, that season just came to an end, actually. Unfortunately, they just missed out on postseason play this year. They came in 3rd in their conference. Again, you've got 2 nationally ranked teams in College of Central Florida, once again, and is as good in baseball or softball as they are in baseball. And then Seminole State over in Sanford finished 2nd. They're ranked in the top 10 as well. So Saints had a winning season. They won 30 games, but the 2 teams in their conference were just too tough to get by this year. So, yeah, Coach Webster's had 2 winning years in a row. Last year they came up just a bit short against Seminole State as well, but they seem to be really building a good team. They had 9 players named to the Mid-Florida Conference team, and 2 were named All-State as well. So, it was a good year for softball as well. Just came up a little bit short of making it to that state tournament.
Yeah, going back to baseball there, what's cool is if you follow Johnny Wiggs on Twitter, he's had so many good players come through his program, because he only gets them for 2 years, and they go on to play, other colleges. And then he's had a ton of dudes go play in the majors. So it's been good to see his program thrive like that. Marty, what you calling this weekend?
Heading down to Claremont there near Orlando for the JUCO softball state tournament. So I'll be down there with Mr. Mike Rideout working that this weekend. So that's what's on tap this weekend and next weekend in Lakeland for the state baseball tournament for JUCO.
All right. Well, good stuff as always. We appreciate your time and what you do for high school sports. And we'll talk to you soon, Marty. Have a good weekend, my man.
Yeah. Good to talk to you, Shane. Good to be with you again.
Yep, that's marvelous. Marty Pullman joined us on the Titan MR hotline. Tomorrow's program, we'll have JC. We'll do our Peachland Dental Kentucky Derby picks. Not that either one of us know a whole lot. I'm taking the 9 horse just in case y'all care. I think the 9 horse was 20-1 the other day. Who knows what it is now? But we'll get JC's thoughts on hockey Last night, let's see what happened in hockey, by the way. The Devils lose to the Hurricanes 5-1, and the Golden Knights win 6-4 over the Oilers. And tonight, you got the Florida Panthers, who are having a remarkable run in the playoffs, have a 1-0 lead over the Maple Leafs, and then the Stars, who are down a game to the Kraken play. So missed it last night. Boy, the Celtics just hammered the 76ers, and the NBA playoffs continue tonight with the Lakers and the Warriors. I would think the Warriors win this game 2 to tie up the series. But hope you enjoyed the program. Again, softball last night loses a heartbreaker. Had the bases loaded in the bottom of the ninth, and we pop up and end the game. But Skylar Wallace hits another 2 more home runs. Has a chance to be the National Player of the Year. Boy, she's a good player. She'll be back next year, thank goodness. And they have that #1 recruiting class coming in. So having trouble getting people out this year, but need to sweep the Kentucky Wildcats and win a couple of games in the SEC tournament, and I think they will host regional. So I hope you enjoyed today's program. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Take care.
Hey, Luke. May the force be with you.